Hello everyone and welcome back. Today is a super fun video because I am going to be starting a new series on my channel and I'm calling it Preppy Style Icons. What we're going to be doing is looking at iconic preppy characters from movies, TV, or real life women, real life preppy style icons, and analysing their fashion choices and basically just stealing their looks. The first character we're going to be looking at, which you could probably guess by the title of this video, is Charlotte York from Sex and the City. I love Charlotte so much. Out of the four characters on Sex and the City, she's definitely my favourite. I love the way that she lives her life, her values and morals, and I mean, who doesn't want to live in a fabulous apartment on the Upper East Side of Manhattan? But then, of course, her wardrobe is to die for. Charlotte was always the put-together, preppy one of the friendship group, and although throughout the run of the show she did play with her fair share of trends, all the characters on Sex and the City did, a lot of designers and brands would actually send stuff to HBO, to Sex and the City, so that the characters could wear it on the show, and then they would set fashion trends for everybody watching. So Sex and the City, the show itself, was kind of like a magazine or a runway show in that way. But even so, Charlotte still had her own personal brand and her own personal style that she stayed true to throughout the show and into the two Sex and the City movies. The first way to dress like Charlotte is definitely to embrace retro silhouettes. And in particular, Charlotte was always a fan of a 1950s silhouette. The 1950s silhouette, you can probably picture it in your mind, it was quite fitted up the top and it would come in at the waist and then poof out to at least a knee length or a midi length skirt. And Charlotte was seen wearing this silhouette very, very often throughout the show and into the movies. The fabrics and patterns of her clothing also had a very distinctive retro vibe. There's a great scene in the first Sex and the City movie when Charlotte is pregnant and she runs into Mr. Big and is trying to hobble away from him, and she's wearing this really gorgeous polka dot shift dress that definitely has retro vibes to it. Wearing silhouettes and patterns like this can oftentimes either look really twee, like think of a Zooey Deschanel kind of vibe, like very cute and twee, or it can kind of go the opposite direction and look quite pin-up-y, a little bit sexy, and Charlotte was always able to do right in the middle of this. She never looked overtly twee, she never looked overtly sexy, she always was nice and classy with the retro vibes, but very classic. Another retro silhouette that she did like to wear was a 60s silhouette, and up the top that was very similar to a 50s silhouette, quite fitted, but instead of puffing out like that 50s silhouette, it would still be fitted like a pencil skirt. Charlotte also does mention that some of her pieces are vintage, so they do actually come from these eras of fashion. Like, I think it's a Valentino skirt that her daughter ruins with the handprints. The next way to dress like Charlotte is to embrace femininity and florals. Charlotte was definitely not shy of looking girly, looking feminine, and in particular, she loved floral pieces of clothing. Pink was a color that she wore a lot throughout the show, and pink is my favorite color, so I have quite a lot of it in my wardrobe. But there was a particular shade of pink that she really loved. It was this bright Barbie pink is the only way I can describe it, a Barbie doll pink, which you don't see a lot today. It's definitely a retro 60s color, so it's sort of tying it in there. But she definitely loved this bright Barbie pink. I need to find something in this color for my wardrobe. Now, occasionally I have had friends point out to me that I dress in a very feminine and girly way a lot of the time. And they definitely were not saying this in a mean way, they were actually complimenting me, because I guess in today's world, jeans and masculine trousers and quite boxy or oversized clothing is definitely trendy. And this is not to say I don't dress like that some of the time, because I definitely do. But there is something to be said for really embracing your feminine side, wearing pink, wearing girly dresses, and Charlotte never shied away from dressing in a super girly way, which I love. Another way Charlotte always embraced her feminine side was things like frills or peplums. She wore a lot of peplum items, which seem to come in and out of fashion fairly regularly. Peplums aren't really in at the moment, but I'm sure that they'll come back in before we can all say Princess Dandyridge Brandywine. Although Charlotte really loved those light pastel pinky colors, she did of course wear dark colors too. But when she did wear these dark colors, they were very iconically preppy colors like navy, green, red, just very traditional preppy colors. The next way that Charlotte was a bit of a preppy icon was course, the brands that she wore. Of course, all of the women in Sex and the City wore some absolutely gorgeous designer pieces, but Charlotte was also a fan of wearing some really iconic preppy brands. One of the most iconic items that she wore, at least for me, was her Ralph Lauren sweater with the polo player on the front. She had this in white with a pink polo player, and then she also had the same sweater but just a different colorway, and she had the black with the pink polo player. And if anybody knows where I can get my hands on a sweater like this, please inform me. I don't think Ralph Lauren makes them anymore, at least I haven't seen them making them, so please let me know. Also, if you remember in the flashback at the start of the second movie, it flashes back and shows Carrie meeting all the girls in the 80s, and of course, Charlotte is wearing a Lily Pulitzer skirt, which I think is so funny and cute. Like, of course Charlotte is repping a Lily Pulitzer skirt. It's probably a skirt. I wouldn't be surprised. Moving on, Charlotte was also a fan of wearing tweed. She did wear some darker, more traditional tweed, but then she was also a fan of making it fun and wearing it in pastel colors, like this cute little two-piece set, this pink tweed set. I feel like the dress that I have on, first of all, bit of a 60s vibe, isn't it? And then it has the light blue tweed. Charlotte wore a dress that was very similar to this. It wasn't tweed, it was plaid, but it was in these same colors. So I feel like this dress is totally something that Charlotte would wear. Charlotte's hair was also always incredibly silky, incredibly smooth. She always had the perfect blowout. And of course, being a preppy style icon, she was a fan of a headband. Now, headbands have been quite on trend these past couple of years, but the headbands that have been on trend lately have been definitely thicker, like they're kind of squishy, and they're normally bejeweled and fun. They are quite cute, but Charlotte definitely wore headbands that were way more subdued. A headband like this that is just quite simple. I think these ones are called Alice bands. Like, they're just a nice little band of ribbon, just very simple and cute, and I feel like they really put the outfit together. There are the ways that you can dress like Charlotte York from Sex and the City. As I said in the beginning of this video, I'm planning to make this into a series, and I've got a few characters in mind, like Blair Waldorf from Gossip Girl, or real life people like Kate Middleton. I mean, of course, I feel like at this point my channel is just turning into a massive fan page for Kate Middleton, but you know what? I'm comfortable with that direction. I'm okay with where this is heading. So if any other preppy style icons come to mind for you, please do leave them in the comments down below and I'll get a list going. If you did enjoy today's video, please consider subscribing to the channel. I make 2 fashion and lifestyle videos every single week, and I would love for you to join me. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye bye.